James, you seem pretty shocked. Henry glanced up, his dark, pitch-black eyes as if they could see right through me. Of course I'm shocked. Having been a beta for 25 years, how could I not know if I could get pregnant? Mr. Henry, the words were on the tip of my tongue when his tall figure loomed over me. The veins on Henry's forehead were throbbing, as if he was trying hard to suppress his anger. If I'm really pregnant, it must be because of that accident at the wine party. First, Henry was given a catalyst, then an omega deliberately released pheromones, and it just so happened to be his rut. It was like a bolt from the blue. Logically, I didn't drink and I'm a beta, so nothing should have happened. But who would have thought I'd wake up beside Henry's pillow one morning, covered in marks. While Henry was still asleep, I sneaked out. Henry is a high-quality alpha, capable of getting someone pregnant in one go. 6 weeks. It all matches up perfectly. James, don't you have anything to say to me? Mr. Henry, is there some misunderstanding? You know I'm a beta. It was precisely because I'm a beta that I was hired as the president's secretary. There are thorough physical examinations every quarter. The slightest abnormality would get me fired, so there's no doubt about it. I explained frankly, but my heart was pounding in my throat. Henry has had a crush on someone for 5 years and has been faithful to that person since college. He said more than once that when he takes over the entire group, he'll marry that person. If he knew that his virginity was taken by an ordinary person, and what's more, his own secretary, not only him, but the entire Chi family would kill me. A misunderstanding? Henry chuckled, his eyes chillingly cold. I also wish it were a misunderstanding. How could a beta get pregnant? Huh? Is he mad at me for being pregnant? The high-intensity secretary work isn't suitable for a pregnant man, so I have to take a leave. And as an excellent secretary, apart from that one accident, I've almost always completed my work perfectly. So is he just angry that he'll have to find a new secretary after I leave? Don't even think about leaving until I find a new secretary. Henry shredded the resignation letter on the spot. Seems like that's really the case. But I can't stay for too long either, or sooner or later, they'll find out it was me. I left the office and immediately asked the HR department to post the recruitment information. A week later, the 10 final round interviewees came to the interview room. As the interview time approached, Henry hadn't shown up yet and wasn't answering his phone, but luckily, he made it in the end. Sorry, I'm late. After a brief introduction, the interview officially started. Maybe it was because of Henry's cold expression. The atmosphere wasn't great, and several interviewees I had high hopes for were quite nervous. When people are nervous, they're prone to making mistakes. 2 have already been eliminated, and if this continues, all of them will be rejected. Don't worry too much, Mr. Henry just has a resting bitch face. Most of the time, he's quite easygoing. In the pantry, I comforted the remaining interviewees. The few of them gave a forced laugh, and their expressions became more and more frightened. James. Henry appeared expressionlessly and poured out my coffee. Who do you have your eye on? That sounded kinda strange. Don't drink coffee when you're pregnant. He stuffed a cup of warm milk into my hand. Since when was he so considerate? James? I snapped back to reality and named a few potential candidates. Henry seemed lost in thought. The interview continued. Suspecting that Henry was retaliating against me for getting pregnant out of the blue, he bombarded the potential candidates with questions. I had to stop the interview. Mr. Henry, your questions are a bit tricky. Tricky? Henry said casually, continuing to flip through the profiles of the potential candidates. Of course they're tricky. What boss would ask what to do if a beta suddenly gets pregnant? A beta can't get pregnant. But you're pregnant, aren't you? That was an accident. What if they have an accident too? I couldn't argue with that, but you can't be unreasonable. The ones who made it to the final round are all top-notch. If you can't find a new secretary, you'll have to deal with mountains of files on your own later. This time we were hiring a secretary general. If no one was hired, the contracts would go straight to Henry after the first round of review for him to examine. But generally, the president doesn't participate in the review. You can imagine how many files there would be. You're coming back anyway. Are you trying to get fired? Henry leaned in, his cold expression surprisingly creepy. He didn't give me a chance to think and forced my chin up. Speak. What does this have to do with me coming back or not? Henry's eyes darkened fiercely, and his grip unconsciously tightened, making me frown in pain. Mr. Henry? The 5-year contract is almost up, and you haven't said if you'll stay. Henry let go of his hand, his voice muffled, as if he didn't want me to leave. But even if he didn't want me to go, there was nothing he could do. I couldn't just sit around and wait for disaster. I probably won't stay. Why? If it's about money, I can offer you $1 million. Henry suddenly got excited, grabbing my hand and demanding an answer. Ever since he found out I was pregnant, he'd been acting so strange. Like right now, I didn't understand why he was so worked up, even offering $1 million annual salary. Mr. Henry, it's not about the money. From the start, Henry had offered a $500,000 annual salary. Over the years at work, after paying off my debts, I'd saved quite a bit of money. I also had 2 apartments in the city center, which was enough for me to raise the baby in the future. Then what is it? Mr. Henry, the interviewees are still waiting for you. William came to remind him. Henry rubbed his temples and ordered, James, you go over first. Okay, the second half of the interview went smoothly. Henry finally chose the first candidate I recommended. The newbie, Daniel, would report in 3 days, and the secretariat prepared a simple welcome party. Daniel was earnest and smart, picking things up quickly. The handover work that originally would have taken a month was completed in half the time. After handling the handover, I officially resigned to Henry. No way. Henry refused without even looking. Before I could ask why, he matter-of-factly said, as my personal secretary, you made such a huge mistake. You're responsible for finding that person. It was indeed my fault, but that person was me. How was I supposed to find them? 1 month. I'll sign if you find them within a month. Seeing me hesitate, Henry seemed relieved. Then he gave me a meaningful look and his eyes dropped to my belly. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Ha! Who's the father of the baby? A guy who tries to control your life before you're even married is very likely not to respect you. I remembered. I hadn't clearly stated the reason for my resignation, nor how I got pregnant. That's why Henry thought the baby's father was forcing me to leave. No, it was my own decision. It has nothing to do with the baby's father. Even though the truth was that it did have something to do with the baby's father. You haven't dated since you joined the company. Now you're suddenly pregnant without a word and then want to leave. James, I'm worried you're being deceived. I won't be. You've never been in a relationship. I'm not at ease. I happen to be free this weekend. Arrange for me to meet the baby's father. What? That's it. I'll drive you home. Wait, Mr. Henry. Henry pulled me into the car. I tried to ask the reason several times during the ride, but he dodged the topic and instead got a lot of information out of me. Finally, I got home and collapsed exhaustedly. Where on earth am I going to find an actor to pretend to be the child's father? If I had known that lies need to be piled up with more lies, I should have said I didn't know just now. A one-night stand would be better than having an extra person. Time still came to the weekend. I was hesitating whether to go or not when my phone received a message. Henry, come downstairs. I rushed to the balcony in a hurry. Henry was standing in front of the car, nodding at me. Why does he come to pick me up at home? I haven't found an actor yet. What should I do? What should I do? Should I really say it was a one-night stand? But I'll probably be suspected. James, open the door. Otherwise, I'll go in myself. Oh no, he has a spare key to my house. The doorknob turned. Henry pushed the door open, carrying a lot of things in his hands. Looking closely, they were all tonics. Where's the child's father? He hasn't come back yet. As I expected, he's no good. What did you say, Mr. Henry? Nothing. It's cold outside. Put on more clothes. Henry skillfully picked up the coat and put it on me. Was it my illusion? I always felt that he was a bit gentle today. Not feeling well? Henry raised his hand to take my temperature. I was stunned for a moment and whispered, Mr. Henry, this isn't appropriate. You're my secretary. If you get sick, it'll make my work more difficult. And it's a basic requirement for a boss to care about his subordinates. But we both have partners. It really isn't appropriate. I stepped back quietly. A flash of pain crossed Henry's eyes. My first true love ran off with someone else. I just found out a few days ago. He has a partner. They even have a kid, and they're getting married soon. Mr. Henry, this isn't running off with someone else. He's in a relationship of his own free will. Henry looked at me faintly, as if complaining that I didn't know how to talk. But I wasn't wrong, was I? He had a crush on that person, and the other might not even know he existed, so it's normal for anything to happen to the other person. Mr. Henry, don't be sad. With your conditions, there are omegas all over the place who like you. He's not an omega. I stopped packing and looked into his eyes. I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? I don't know if it's because of the pregnancy, but my ears are getting worse. I've had trouble hearing Henry several times. I have a friend who suddenly got pregnant. When talking about the father of the child, he's always evasive. I suspect he's been deceived both physically and emotionally. Do you think I should help? Why does it sound so much like me? But it should not be, right? I'm not his friend, and his friends are all young masters and ladies from the upper class. They wouldn't be stupid enough to be deceived. You should. As a friend. When will the child's father arrive? Henry interrupted me and took out his phone, ready to call the police. Mr. Henry, what are you calling the police for? I suspect you've been scammed. If the child's father really cared about you, he should have informed you during his return. But from the moment I came in until now, not a single message has come in for a full half an hour. No, Mr. Henry, listen to me. We agreed to meet at 12. It's 12:30 now and he still hasn't shown up. Clearly, he doesn't dare to face me. So his approaching you is to swindle money. Don't worry, I'll handle it for you. Henry was completely immersed in his speculation. As he was about to get the call through, I could only snatch the phone and hang up. Mr. Henry, ouch. Suddenly, I had a sharp pain in my stomach. Henry was in a flurry and helped me downstairs, rushing me to the hospital. Is it the lower abdomen that's uncomfortable? Do you want me to release pheromones? The doctor said the fetus needs an alpha's pheromones for comfort. Look at how nervous he is, as if his own child is in danger. Well, it really is his child. Mr. Henry, I can't smell the pheromones. When Henry realized I was a beta, his expression turned a bit dejected, but it was fleeting, so quick that I might have been mistaken. Why would he be dejected? It has nothing to do with him. After a thorough examination, the doctor frowned so tightly that a fly could be pinched to death. The first 3 months are extremely dangerous. As a husband, how can you be so irresponsible? Even if your partner can't smell the pheromones, you should still release them. You got here in time today, so nothing serious happened. A little later and you'd both be in big trouble. Alright, go get the medicine. Remember, you must supplement pheromones on time and in the right amount every day. He's not my. Okay, I understand. Thank you, doctor. Without letting me finish, Henry took the responsibility upon himself, bustling around like a real lover. But I don't understand. Why doesn't he explain our relationship? Even if he's heartbroken from a failed crush, he can't act so recklessly. How long are you going to keep this from me? Henry suddenly turned around and cornered me. A shiver ran down my spine. I was about to explain when I heard him say, "You don't even know who the father of the baby is, do you? If there really is one." No, if the father knew about you and the baby, there's no way he'd just sit back and do nothing, letting you suffer like this. It's not that serious, bastard. Scumbag. He's lower than an animal. Henry looked like someone had trampled on his precious thing, seething with anger. Too bad he didn't know that the scumbag was himself. Mr. Henry, it was just an accident. If we really have to look into it, I'm also to blame. And the father doesn't even know I'm pregnant. That's why I say he's a total scumbag. He didn't even use protection. What if he gave you some disease? Why didn't you tell me about such a big thing? No, it's my fault for not thinking of it. We're going for a check-up right away. Henry dragged me in a hurry to get all kinds of tests done. Only when he was sure everything was okay did he truly relax. If only he hadn't insisted that I move. Tomorrow, I'll send someone to your place to pick up your luggage. You'll live with me until the baby is born healthy. Live. Together? Mr. Henry, why do we have to live together? I thought it was just moving near the hospital for easier prenatal checkups. But living together? Who lives with their boss? The baby needs pheromones. Living together allows me to release pheromones regularly and in the right amount, and it'll also be easier to take care of you. Henry smiled and pushed me towards the room. Some bad thoughts started to pop up in my head. When he told me to go take a bath, alarm bells went off in my head. Mr. Henry, you're not using me as a replacement, are Are you, Mr. Henry? I know you're really sad, but finding a substitute is a lousy and gross thing to do. If you really can't get over it, I can arrange a trip and you can go on a vacation abroad to unwind. Is that how you see me? Henry was both shocked and hurt. When he saw me nod, he gave a bitter laugh. Mr. Henry, you don't need to feel embarrassed. I'll act like nothing happened. No, it's not. Forget it. You have a good rest. Henry left, and I slept soundly until it was dark. Then voices of conversation came from downstairs. Daniel was reporting on today's work. Daniel, James, I'll act like I didn't see anything. I'm sorry. Daniel saw me and fled in a panic, as if he'd seen a ghost. I looked at Henry, puzzled. Henry's ears were bright red. Why am I not wearing a shirt? I remember I put on my pajamas. Did I take it off secretly while sleeping again? You put on your clothes first. Henry closed his eyes tightly, too afraid to look at me. Sorry, I'll put it on right away. How could I make such a huge fool of myself, especially in front of the boss? Henry couldn't possibly think I'm the kind of person who pretends to be aloof but is actually flirtatious, could he? I really didn't mean it, and I definitely didn't try to seduce him. What should I do? Should I explain? But an explanation might just make it seem like I'm trying too hard to clear my name. It's so embarrassing. What is Henry thinking? He surely didn't misunderstand me, did he? Mr. Henry, it's okay. I know you didn't mean it, but next time, don't let anyone other than me. No, that's not what I meant. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I know. Mr. Henry didn't mean that. Mr. Henry just told me not to wear. I could donate my mouth. This meal was incredibly awkward. It wasn't even really a meal. It was more like an ostrich trying to find a crack to bury its head in the bowl. After enduring dinner, I slunk back to my room and thought about moving out. Otherwise, with my years-long habit of sleeping naked, it would be even harder to explain. Mr. Henry, I'd like to talk to you about something. Do you need to release pheromones now? Wait in your room. I'll come as soon as I finish showering. Henry rushed me into the room and then went to take a shower himself. Am I just waiting for Henry to come out while lying in bed right now? Isn't it just about absorbing pheromones? Why does it feel like a wedding night? Do you want to lie down? You might feel more comfortable that way. The fresh scent of body wash wafted over, and my eyes uncontrollably landed on his well-built and beautiful muscles. A few droplets of water, on the verge of falling, rose and fell with his breathing. So sexy. Do you like it? Ha! When I came to my senses, Henry was already right in front of me. As expected, he has top-notch looks. What a strong visual impact. I panicked and backed away, lost my balance, and in a hurry, I grabbed Henry. As expected, the two of us fell onto the soft big bed. Our breaths intertwined, and the air heated up. I'll get up right away. People are busy when they're embarrassed. Henry was busy getting dressed, and I was busy calming down. That was a close call. We almost kissed. James, I'm starting to release pheromones. Henry, who had adjusted himself, sat down beside me. The pheromone detector showed that it was gradually reaching the standard. It's a pity I can't smell it. Otherwise, I could know the clear and cold fur scent they mentioned. But I can smell the mixed fragrance of his perfume and body wash. Not bad. The process of absorbing pheromones is so boring. Just sitting there makes me sleepy. I really want to sleep. Mr. Henry, James is in charge of this project. You need to ask James specifically. Keep your voice down. He's still sleeping. Okay. I felt a burning gaze and suddenly woke up. I thought I was dreaming, but then my eyes met William's unexpectedly. William's eyes sparkled with a shipping light. James, good morning. It wasn't a dream. I actually was sleeping in Henry's bed and got caught by William. I can already picture that when I go to work on Monday. The whole secretarial department will be looking at me with that maternal smile. James, I told you so, Mr. Henry is really different to you. William, who chose to stay for breakfast, immediately came over and whispered teasingly as soon as Henry left. Mr. Henry is just trying to make me find that person as soon as possible. Come on, James, don't lie to me. You're the one, aren't you? I almost dropped my fork. How could she know? Don't worry, James. I won't tell anyone. Tell what? Henry suddenly showed up, scaring William. Nothing. We didn't say anything. Henry clearly didn't believe it, so I had to lie through my teeth. William said the breakfast you made is delicious. Is that so? I'll make it every day from now on. William's eyes lit up instantly. When I went to work on Monday, from the moment I stepped into the company gate, curious glances never disappeared. But when Henry looked at me, it was as if nothing had happened. James, you're coming to the wine party with me tonight as my lover. Ha! The family knows my secret love failed and they want to arrange a blind date for me. But I don't want a date right now, so you pretend to be my lover and attend with me. A personal secretary, as the name implies, is in charge of all the boss's affairs. But I've already had the lesson of getting drunk and doing something stupid once. I can't agree to him again. If you can find that person, then you don't have to go. In just one day, where am I supposed to find someone? This is just making things difficult for me. Mr. Henry, you could send Daniel instead. Go where? Daniel, who had overheard, quickly stepped forward. Mr. Henry, James, just tell me what to do. Daniel, you'll attend tonight's cocktail party with Mr. Henry. Okay. In a flash, Henry, who was a step late, could only clench his molars. Sorry, Mr. Henry, I can't jump into the fire pit myself. The reception started at 8. Henry insisted on having dinner with me before going out, and before leaving, he told me not to wait for him as he'd be back at 10. 10 o'clock? I'm afraid it won't be that early. Now that he's finally single, how could the major groups miss this great opportunity? Sure enough, it didn't end until 11. Then Daniel called, sounding urgent. James, Mr. Henry's rut has started, but the hotel exits are blocked by people from various groups. Can you bring over some suppressants? Wasn't it supposed to be next week? Why did it come early? There was no time to ask more. I grabbed the inhibitor at home and rushed over immediately. Fortunately, the staff passage wasn't blocked, and I got into the room smoothly. Daniel, get out. Henry managed to force the guy out with great effort. There was no other reason. He just didn't trust Daniel. Once the time of his susceptible period is exposed, the major groups will try every means to send people to Henry's side. Although it's despicable, it's quite effective. After Daniel left, I took out the inhibitor and was about to inject it for Henry. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain, and then I was pulled down. Henry pinned me down and kept biting my nape. An alpha in the susceptible period loses his mind. He must have mistaken me for an omega. I tried to push him away, but he grabbed my hands and pinned them above my head. He's been working out all year round, and there was no way I could break free. Mr. Henry, it's me, James. Page. Henry kissed me out of the blue. Just as I was about to give in, I bit down hard on my tongue. The sharp pain and the taste of blood spread in my mouth. Henry came to his senses, looking shocked, probably not expecting he'd mistaken me for an omega. Sorry, I couldn't control myself. He picked up the inhibitor guiltily and injected himself 5 shots in a row before he seemed to regain his full consciousness. But the first day of an alpha's rut is the most intense, and there was no sign of his arousal subsiding. He definitely couldn't go out like this. But this wasn't a problem for someone as experienced as me. I helped Henry up and walked him to the bathroom. Mr. Henry, I brought you some clean clothes. You should take a shower first. The gasps that couldn't be masked by the sound of water were magnified infinitely in the quiet room. Why am I blushing too? I shouldn't be affected like this. No, I can't think about it anymore, or else the same thing as last time might happen again. I learned from Daniel that someone had put a catalyst in Henry's drink and deliberately made an omega release pheromones. As a result, Henry's susceptible period came earlier. James. Henry finally came out of the bathroom. Maybe he'd been washing for too long, and his steps were unsteady. I quickly went up to support him, but he asked me to help him to the sofa and said, "The bed's a bit small. Mind staying here for the night? He's the one who's not well. How could he sleep on the sofa? If anyone should, it should be me. The sofa's not comfortable. Do you think it'll be any more comfortable for you?" Henry, looking sickly, closed his eyes, remaining silent and not budging. Stubborn guy. The bed is a bit small, but we can still squeeze in. So, let's sleep together. Then help me up. Henry seemed to lift the corners of his mouth slightly before getting up. The bed was indeed a bit small. The two of them had to stick close to each other to make sure they wouldn't fall off. Get closer. It's easier to absorb pheromones. As soon as he finished speaking, he was pulled into Henry's arms. The familiar scent filled his nostrils, and even his heart seemed to be intoxicated. I never used to get a racing heart when we were alone before. Why is it different this time? Am I sick? Or is it because of the pregnancy? It should be the pregnancy. Progesterone can always cause strange reactions in the body. After staying in the hotel for a few days, when those spies had all relaxed their guard, I quietly left with Henry, but I never expected that those groups had also planted spies in the hospital, and they actually managed to photograph Henry and me going in and out together. Instead of reporting it, they sent the photos to the Chi family. The elders of the Chi family flew into a rage. Right now, Henry has been in the meeting room for an hour, and intense arguments can be heard coming from inside from time to time. After waiting for another half an hour, Henry stormed out. The elders of the Chi family looked at me with venomous, sinister eyes. If you dare to keep him, you're going against the entire Chi family. With the rage left behind, Henry pulled me into the car, and we didn't say a word during the whole journey. The car stopped in front of my house. I looked at him in confusion and said, "Mr. Henry? James, resign first. Come back after I've dealt with these matters. I promise, I'll definitely bring you back." Henry assured me again and again, but I wouldn't come back after leaving my job. But wasn't this the result I'd been looking forward to? Why am I sad? And I can help Henry solve the crisis. I should be happy. I nodded and got out of the car alone. Along with my resignation letter, I also submitted a self-criticism. Perhaps seeing my sincere apology, the elders of the Chi family didn't pursue the matter further. On the day I was packing my things, the entire secretarial department came to see me off. Daniel was especially emotional, crying his eyes out. "James, what am I going to do without you? Mr. Henry is so fierce. I'll surely be scolded to death by him." "Mr. Henry isn't fierce. He just has a grumpy face." I meant to comfort him, but he started crying even harder. William quietly pulled me aside and said, "James, you could have just told everyone about your relationship with Mr. Henry. Why did you still? Everyone knows Mr. Henry and I are in a superior-subordinate relationship. There's no need to say it." William seemed to want to say something but stopped. In the end, he gave me a big hug. Henry didn't come to see me off. All I got was a text message saying, "Wait for me a little longer. I can't wait anymore. If I wait any longer, I really won't be able to bear leaving." After moving to City Z, Henry didn't send me any more messages. But the good news was that he was likely to take full control of the group this year. If his first true love liked him, he could officially confess to her. Unfortunately, his first true love had already found happiness, and he had no chance. I always thought I was highly adaptable, but after leaving my job, I just felt empty inside. When I'm alone at home, my mind can't help but recall the things that happened when I was with Henry. Things that I took for granted back then, I now realize were unique to me. No wonder William said Henry was different to me. Looking at Henry in the financial news, full of confidence and vitality, a bold idea came to me. I want to see him, right away. Without taking anything, I booked the fastest flight, but then my stomach suddenly started hurting, worse than ever, so I had to change my ticket and go for a checkup. "Doctor, how is it?" Several senior gynecology experts looked troubled as they stared at my medical records. It took them a long time to speak reluctantly. "You don't have a reproductive cavity, but we can't explain why a pregnancy was detected. Not having a reproductive cavity means I can't get pregnant. I'm a beta. I shouldn't be able to get pregnant in the first place. This result seems normal to me. We can only tentatively guess that it's a false pregnancy caused by pheromones. Do you have a high-quality alpha around you?" Seeing me nod, the doctor continued, "Generally speaking, the pheromones of high-quality alphas are strong and pure, especially during the rutting period. In a closed and limited space, your body was confused by the pheromones, thinking it could conceive, and thus secreted hormones to create a false pregnancy. I was with Henry every rutting period, and that time was also during the rutting period, being surrounded by high-quality pheromones all year round. No wonder my body thought it could reproduce. Can you contact him? Although you're a beta and can't smell pheromones, your body has developed a dependence. The abdominal pain is also because you haven't been exposed to pheromones for a long time. Why did I develop a dependence? We can only roughly speculate that it's because you're surrounded by strong pheromones every day. The specific reason still needs to wait until the other person comes for an examination. Being surrounded by pheromones every day, does Henry like me? That doesn't make sense. The situation isn't too serious. I'll prescribe some medicine to relieve it for now, but the best way is still to have the other person release pheromones. Should I go find Henry? I used to think it was because of my outstanding work ability that he paid extra attention to me. I never thought he actually liked me. No, shouldn't be love. He's had a crush on someone for 5 years. Maybe he really is a jerk. He even admitted to the substitute thing. Then I'd better not go back. Saying, I need your pheromones. Sounds like I'm reciprocating his twisted feelings. James. Why do I seem to hear James's voice? It must be a hallucination. He hasn't contacted me for ages. There's no way he'd show up. James, I miss you so much. Affection fell into my ears. Suddenly, I was wrapped in warmth. The familiar scent seeped into my skin and flowed into my heart. Mr. Henry? Wait. Why are you kissing me? I quickly raised my hand to stop him, but Henry kissed me regardless. He didn't let go until I was out of breath. He buried his head in my neck and said in a muffled voice, I'm really afraid you'll fall for someone else. But I don't have the confidence that you'll like me, so I didn't come to you until I completely took over the group. Don't worry, the Chi family has accepted you, along with our child. Wait a minute. His words left me confused. Does he know I'm the one, or does he consider that child as his own? If it's the latter, and he can accept the substitute's child, he'll succeed in anything. Your child is my child. I'll love and cherish it, just like I do you. Henry assured me again and then, full of enthusiasm, showed me the baby room. All the baby supplies were there. I almost felt embarrassed to tell him the truth. Don't you like it? Then I'll have someone redesign it. I'm not pregnant, Mr. Henry. Not pregnant. Henry dropped his eyes, unable to hide his disappointment. His reaction made me think, for a moment, that he knew few people had had a one-night stand with him and me. But reality soon disproved that. He completely saw me as a substitute. That's why he could accept things without limits. After realizing the fact that I wasn't pregnant, he asked me to go back to work. Being a substitute is a thankless and immoral thing. I'm not doing it. A $1 million annual salary, plus a detached villa in the city center. Henry didn't want to give up and kept piling on the chips, even offering to give me the entire Chi family. What an immersive job offering. Mr. Henry, I won't be a substitute. A substitute? Yeah, if not a substitute, why would you be so good to me and even want to give me your family property? Although it's really tempting, I won't agree. You don't need to say any more. Henry was so angry that he actually laughed. Mr. Henry, getting angry won't help. Henry smiled bitterly. James, is there any chance that I'm nice to you because I like you? Your confession won't work either. Henry was furious, flying into a rage after being rejected. James, I've been crushing on you for 5 years. Huh? Me? Mr. Henry, you're kidding. I'm just an ordinary guy. An ordinary guy can be the president's secretary, do the job perfectly for 5 years straight without a single mistake. I felt a bit embarrassed by the compliment. Well, I do mess up sometimes. I'm not complimenting you. No, I'm not saying this as your boss. I'm saying it as Henry, your admirer. Thanks. I know I'm great. Henry was left speechless and could only look at me wistfully. I just had to tell the truth. Mr. Henry, but I really am just an ordinary person. I don't have a noble status in high society, nor do I have any extraordinary abilities. I really can't figure out why you like me. It may sound cliché, but it's really because of your tenacity. Everyone, even betas themselves, think they're mediocre and dull, but you've got this innate toughness, growing upwards like a wild grass. You seem calm on the outside, but inside, you're full of romance. You're not afraid of power, not even me, but I like that. Maybe? But I only like it when you're like this with me. Henry rubbed his face against mine like a cat. When did he hug me? Oh well, I wanted him to hug me too, so I didn't push him away. So, what's your answer? Answer to what? My confession. I don't know if this is love. After I left the job, I kept thinking about every little thing we did together. If it weren't for the stomachache just now, I would have come to find you. And, before, I thought your body was sexy. The kiss during my rut last time felt great, and my heart raced when we slept together. I didn't feel much at the time, but now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm kind of shy. Is it because I know it's not pregnancy, but rather my feelings of liking you that caused this? If it wasn't me doing those things to you, would you still feel that flutter in your heart? Henry kept pressing, as if he wanted me to say I liked him with my own mouth. Well, it wasn't that hard. I looked up and took the initiative to kiss his lips. Mr. Henry, I like you. After we confirmed our relationship, I decided to tell him the truth. Henry let out a deep sigh of relief. If something really had happened, I wouldn't have the face to see you again. It was excusable under the circumstances. Mr. Henry, you don't have to blame yourself too much. Just like last time during my rut, various big groups deliberately sent omegas close to Henry, hoping to gain status through a child. A man's first time is the best dowry. It should be saved for the wedding night. This not only leaves a good impression on the other person, but also shows responsibility. So, does that mean you actually didn't touch me? I suddenly remembered that when I saw Henry and me naked in the same bed that day, I was in a daze. And because both of us had suspicious marks on our bodies, I instinctively thought we had slept together. But thinking carefully, my body didn't feel any discomfort. I don't remember, but it should only have been kissing. Henry said seriously, but whether there was more or not didn't matter anymore. What about the pregnancy thing? You still haven't told me the real reason. I hadn't confessed my feelings just now, so I didn't explain it clearly. I took out the medical record and told him everything in detail. After hearing it, Henry looked rather smug. I knew releasing pheromones would work, although I'm still a bit disappointed. Thanks to the false pregnancy, I was able to win your affection. If there hadn't been a false pregnancy, were you planning to keep your crush a secret forever? Henry looked a bit aggrieved upon hearing this. Because I thought you didn't like me, so I planned to confess after the Chi family accepted you. Maybe then, out of consideration for my sincerity, you'd be willing to give our relationship a try. But I didn't expect this fake pregnancy thing to happen. At that time, I thought since there was no father for the baby, I'd be the father. No matter what the result was, at least you'd have a good impression of me. So he was afraid that if he didn't take the initiative, he'd have no chance. No wonder he was so obviously nice to me. So, will you marry me? No, I won't. Henry's smile froze on his face. I smiled and said, at least you need to propose. How can I say yes without a proposal? You're right. How could I forget the most important part, the proposal? Henry held a grand proposal ceremony. When putting on the ring, he insisted that I change what I called him. But I'm used to it, and if I call you Mr. Henry? Henry stammered all of a sudden. He was so cute. James, not now. Let's talk about it when we get home. Since he confessed, all his behaviors were connected. Who would have thought that the mighty Mr. Chi was a pure virgin? But it's not strange considering he managed to resist the impulses of his rutting period and remained chaste for 5 years. After the engagement ended, I went back to work at the company. Daniel said with teary eyes, James, I'm gonna miss you so much, and I'll miss everyone here too. Why are you crying? Now that you're back, you don't need me anymore, so I'm going to be fired. He was indeed hired to replace me at the beginning, but Henry had already planned to make him a full-time employee. Mr. Henry looked like he wanted to kill someone today. He must be going to fire me. Oh, he's just not feeling well because of his rut. He has no intention of firing you. Here's the formal contract. Welcome to be a member of the group. Daniel was so overjoyed that he burst into tears. While checking the contract, he murmured something about nude pictures and deleting them completely. James, come here for a moment. Before James could ask further, Henry pushed open the door of the secretary's office, his face frighteningly cold. Entering the office, a long and passionate kiss landed. I like you. Do you like me? Since he couldn't smell the pheromones, Henry in his rut was even more insecure than usual. But it's okay. I'll tell him over and over again. I like you.